Welcome, welcome. I am excited to be here sharing space with you as always. And for any new comadres that is watching the Moon Report for the first time, welcome. We get together twice a month and we also do so live on Zoom. So check out your events page on Mighty Networks if you want to join us. We have a really awesome question and answers after that. We get to talk about this moon magic and see how it applies in our life and how we can put it to use, how we can take all this information that I'm sitting here rambling every month and apply it to your life so that we can create some magic. And talking about magic, I really think that this full moon is quite magical. And I know that it's happening in a Mercury retrograde, but hear me out. It is a feel good full moon, and I'm going to tell you why. But first, we're going to talk about the Mercury retrograde because that's actually Mercury is actually stationing today, and it's really relevant for today and until October 2nd, where it's going to then go direct from Virgo. So for those of you that are unsure about what a retrograde is basically when a planet appears to be going backwards in the solar system. And the reason that planets go into retrograde per se is because we don't know it sometimes as humans, but we need a break. We need a slowdown. We need a reorganization sometimes, a restructuring, or we sometimes just need to take a breath so that we can see something more clearly. And, with retrograde comes a whole bunch of drama because things get confusing and the details sometimes escape us. So that's why you'll hear a lot of people freaking out around retrogrades and not wanting to make any solid life-changing decisions, which is a good idea because we may miss the details. And, today when Mercury stations to go retrograde, to go backwards, it's making two very important aspects. First one is a trine with Mars in Gemini. And the second one is an opposition to Jupiter, which is conjunct Chiron. Now, in Aries. So now what this means is, let's take the first one, a trine with Mars in Gemini. That means that when Mercury is in Libra now stationing, it is making a favorable conversation, or is trying to have a favorable conversation rather with Mars in Gemini. Now, being that Mercury is the ruling planet of Gemini, it's kind of cool that Mars and Mercury are having this conversation. One of the things that gets confusing during a Mercury retrograde is communication. In this case, Mercury is in Libra, like I just mentioned. So it's going to probably play out around communication in relationships. But Mars in Gemini is ready to talk and is ready to talk now. So you may be feeling during these days really quick insight, really quick ideas, and wanting to communicate them really fast or put them into action really fast. And it's quite the opposite. At that point, when we're in a hurry to do something during this retrograde, we have to remind ourselves to slow down, because everything is going to be better executed if you take a break, if you take that gap to make sure that you're not missing something important and that what you're communicating is exactly what you want to say. But with Mars and Gemini, there's an urgency that Mars is like, okay, whatever, I don't care, retrograde or no retrograde, I want to get this out. I want to get this talk out. I want to get this event out. I want to get this idea out. I want to get this thinking out. And time to take a breath. It's time to take a breath and have that conversation with yourself as to, well, maybe if I take another look, I can better explain my message. Or maybe if I can, restructure or readjust, I can more clearly communicate what I'm trying to say. And with the opposition in Jupiter in Aries, we may be feeling an urgency to expand, right? To do something very expansive, to do something that makes us feel good, that helps us grow in some way. But an opposition is not favorable conversation, if that makes sense. They're having a hard talk, right? But in opposition, although the planets are kind of opposing against each other, they do want to come to middle ground, and with Mercury and Libra, opposing this Jupiter, it's like, Jupiter is great at big vision, but not so great at details. And with Mercury already in retrograde, which is kind of a time that details can escape you, this Jupiter opposition is even more of a reason why you need to recheck, need to avoid the whole thing if you can right now, or, take another person, somebody you trust, somebody that has attention to detail, maybe better than you, to take another look at things that you have to make decisions on right now. So with Mercury now going retrograde, we have a total of 7 planets in the solar system going retrograde. That is a lot of retrograde energy, lots. So during this time, again, your thoughts will be fast. Your risk-taking will be activated. Take a step back, rethink, wait to respond, because it could pose a challenge, and it's also going to cause feelings of frustration, feelings of limitation, like you can't get things done in the time that you want to get them done. And that's just going to cause more frustration and more drama. So really the best thing to do right now is just, again, calm down, take a breath, slow down, talk things out with people who you trust. Have people take a second look at something that is important to you. If you possibly can, stay clear of any contracts, of any agreements, anything that has to be negotiated, that is going to be, that you want it to be sustained for a long period of time. If things have to get done, they have to get done. We can't be under an illusion that, we're going to be able to stop the world because there's a Mercury retrograde. I get that, but do what you can. See how it works out. Things have a funny way of working out when we have intention behind it. So those are the major things that I wanted to talk about with Mercury retrograde, because right now, being that, Libra wants to find harmony and balance, and Mars is in Gemini, there may also be an urgency around having a conversation with somebody and having to have it, at that moment. And we have to remember that that other person that you want to have the conversation with may not be ready to receive it. And we need to really be expansive in the way that we look at things right now, because we have to take into consideration what is happening on the other side of that conversation and the timing of that conversation. So try to remember, set little reminders for yourself, or maybe write an affirmation somewhere. And I'm talking to myself as I tell you this right now, because I am infamous for doing things in a retrograde that I told you not to do. And, that's just me being human, and the nature of the retrograde, me forgetting the details of things. So I'm setting myself this reminder as well that, put booby traps for yourself, like seriously trick yourself into things. Write them down in your agenda. If you still have a handwritten agenda like me, write things down to remind yourself, hey, stay quiet when you want to speak, or have patience with others, things like that. So that's about it for the retrograde. And then sliding in tomorrow morning at 5:59 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have a full moon in Pisces. And here's where, for me, the good news comes in, because we are in Virgo season. We just had a new moon in Virgo about 2 weeks ago. And we are in that energy of Virgo, possibly thinking about taking care of ourselves, possibly thinking about revamping daily activities so that we include more time for self-care or for our bodies, reorganizing and restructuring things, wanting to really do a good job and execute things properly. And all these things are amazing about Virgo. But being that the full moon is now opposing the sun in Pisces, we are being reminded about all things Piscean, which are intuitive and dreamy and boundless and otherworldly. And it's almost like we're being asked for the next few days to just take a break on the daily routines and really give ourselves a break earthwise, right? Things that we do on a daily basis, or maybe routines that we execute, to just kind of being dreamy about things and enjoying abstract things, and maybe getting artsy with ourselves, and really, really falling into our intuitive thinking. Now, this full moon is happening in conjunction to Neptune. So it's when there's a conjunction, two planets come really close together, about 5 degrees within each other. And Neptune happens to be going retrograde as well. So as the moon is approaching Neptune, Neptune is coming in that direction. And that meeting there is a reminder of tapping into our higher self, Neptune, and really taking a moment and creating space for information for our higher selves to download. So you may be in the shower, and Pisces is a water sign. So you may be in the shower, letting that, water hit your crown chakra, and insights may drop in out of nowhere. Or your dreams may be activated. Pisces rules the dreams. And, you may be having some really strong dreams in the next couple of days. So stay mindful of that and stay aware of that, because there could be some messages there. And, another thing about this full moon that I feel is like there might be a lot of ends of a cycle. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, and full moons is about a culmination, right? That full illumination of the moon is about a culmination of something. So what is ending for you? What needs to just close so that something new can begin? So just keep a lot of these things in awareness, because in April, where Neptune is right now, last April, we had a huge conjunction, which was the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, in about the same degrees of where this full moon and Neptune is at. So that was April of this year. What was going on during that time? And is there something from that time that now is coming into culmination or is ending its cycle? And that was around spring, right? So if you can remember, that might be some cool insight that comes through with that timeline there. And I would really, if you do arrive at something, I would really focus any of your full moon rituals or any kind of moments that you're going to have with yourself during this full moon to be about that closure, to be about sealing that cycle so that it is over and done with, and you can start fresh and you can start new. So let me see what I'm missing here. Oh, yeah, I wanted to mention that, that energy of like when you're tinkering with something or when you're trying to find the answer to something and you just can't, you have like this block, but then you walk away and take a shower, or you walk away and take a walk, and then all of a sudden, boom, that answer comes through. That's the energy that is happening here. And I wanted to mention that to you because if you find yourself in one of those moments, you can remind yourself, like, let me just walk away from this and take a moment, because I may see things clearer. And it's funny to say things like that you're going to say things clearer with Pisces, because usually it's the opposite with Pisces and Neptune. You can't see shit. you know? But for some reason, this energy that is coming through is just really dropping in with some clarity, some insight, something that is beyond us, a message that is beyond us, that has the possibility of coming through right now. And it has nothing to do with all things Virgo, but everything to do with all things dreamy and all things Piscean and all things watery and artistic. So if you are feeling that call to create something or, use your creativity in some way, maybe making something with your hands or maybe a song or a poem, please follow that inclination, because first of all, it gives you an opportunity to release something inside of you and turn it into something of beauty. And also because you may look back at that and see something that's really insightful and useful for the next coming weeks, the next coming months, even maybe till the end of the year. So that's all I have for you today. Enjoy this full moon. It really is a beautiful and magical full moon. If you want it to be, if you believe it to be. And I surely hope that whatever is coming to a culmination in your life or to the end of the cycle has really served you in some way so that you can really let it go. Because when it serves us and we own it, then we have a possibility of letting go of whatever's getting in our way. And that way it just clears the path for something amazing in this next half of the year. So enjoy yourself. Happy fall.